Did you know that you may be eating more salt than you think? Hello, family, friends, near and far. History of salt. Salt has not always been used in meal preparation. Salt gained its popularity as it became a commodity and was traded among different countries and states. It became a way for the governments to tax the people. Salt was also used as a way to preserve meat and other foods since farmers had to store food for the winter months. You can still see in other countries how meat is and was preserved by the use of salt. Today's use. We also use salt to give a longer shelf life or make foods last longer for restaurant use and to keep food from spoiling in packages. As the popularity of eating outside of the home and use of packaged snacks has increased, so has sodium consumption with an average of 3,400 to 6,000 milligrams a day. Did you know 70 to 80% of sodium salt consumed in the diet is in fact foods eaten outside of the home or choosing packaged foods? Is it fair to say that these lifestyle changes are driving a salt addiction for many as the intake exceeds the daily recommended allowance? What it is and what it does for us. Sodium or salt is an electrolyte found in our blood, fluid outside of our cells, and a component in bones, nerve, and muscle tissue. When we eat salt, it is absorbed into our blood and we get thirsty, causing our bodies to try to equalize our blood content. This increase in blood content will often lead to increase in blood pressure, leading to hypertension over time. The kidneys will need to excrete more sodium through the urine, which over time can cause damage to the kidneys. I wanted to share a personal story. When I met my husband, I encouraged him to cook and learn about food. My grandmother had a no-bake cheesecake recipe we would enjoy on our visits with my grandparents. My grandmother shared that recipe, and I encouraged my husband to cook it for his 90-year-old grandmother. We invited his parents and grandma to dinner. He presented her with dessert, or the cheesecake, as we all anticipated her first bite. She took one bite and held it gingerly in her mouth as we awaited her approval and applause to Adam's cooking when she suddenly spit it out on her plate. "What is that, Sonny?" she stated as we all looked puzzled. As my husband's mom tasted her portion, she quickly identified that salt was used instead of sugar, and the pause in which Grandma held was to not upset her grandson's first attempt at cooking. We all laughed with a chuckle. Salt used in moderation has its benefit, but oftentimes we have lost an understanding of what moderation is. How can I lower my salt intake? 1. Read labels. Daily recommended intake of sodium should be less than 2,300 milligrams in the U.S. Your packaged food items should be less than 10% or 240 milligrams per serving, 2 grams a day in Europe and 5 grams per day in India. 2. Use all herbs, spices, and natural seasonings to flavor food. Caution: with any pre-mixed seasoning blends, ready to make, sodium, salt, monosodium glutamate, MSG, sodium phosphorus, and sodium alginate are not included. 3. When using prepackaged meals or frozen dinners, the goal is 500 to 600 milligrams per serving. 4. Fast foods and restaurants and all others are required to post nutrition facts. Make sure to read them and get familiar with how much salt you're eating. 5. Increase high potassium foods in your diet. Just as sodium raises blood pressure, potassium can help lower it. Some foods are potatoes, bananas, mangoes, avocados, tomatoes, oranges, soy milk, and salmon. 6. It is better to salt food at the table instead of when cooking it. You will actually taste the flavor of salt sprinkled on the food more than in cooking. In return, you will use less salt. 7. Choose low sodium or no sodium added food items such as soups, canned, frozen vegetables, etc. 8. Remember, salt is salt, whether it's ionized salt, table salt, sea salt, Himalayan salt, garlic salt, etc. Make sure to go to the doctor for regular checkups or check your blood pressure frequently at stores that have the wellness machine. A normal blood pressure is less than 120/80. Anything higher needs to be monitored by a doctor, especially if you have a family history of hypertension or high blood pressure, heart disease, kidney disease, and or strokes. Action plan. Check and know your blood pressure numbers. Share your numbers in the comments below. Remember, your body is a temple and you are the only one that can take care of it. Jessica, registered dietitian. Jessica Clancy, author, The Quest for Family.